presentation is great. So we've got 2 or 3 more brief presentations before we head to our final session. So could I ask Patricia, if she's here, to come to the front, please? Yeah. If you could try and keep it to about 10 minutes, that would be great. Patricia. So Patricia Armendariz, the Chief Executive of Financiera Sustentable de Mexico.
Good afternoon. I cannot be thankful enough for the opportunity of Financial Times and the IFC to share with you our project. For me, it's an example of how a private sector can give solutions to a public good. I'm going to talk about, in the case of Mexico, how we are dealing with financing a cleaner air for Mexico City. As we all know, Mexico City is one of the most polluted cities in the world, which is attempting against our own sustainability as human beings, 20 plus million people, and also the climate change in the whole world. The usual suspect, transportation, is the main aggressor. It accounts for more than 60% of total energy in gasoline and diesel, and accounts for 100% of carbon dioxide in the area. What doesn't help us also is that it's an expansive transformation system, the urban development that the government has chosen. Instead of having massive transportation systems like in London, for example, they have chosen second floors, and that contribute to even more increase in transportation as a main pollutant in area. During the last 20 years, we have experienced 70% increase in private transportation, going from 3 to 5 million vehicles in the city. Well, the government response, oddly enough, has been to restrict private transportation during the week for private vehicles, which has imposed a huge pressure on the public transportation systems in the area with very poor transportation infrastructure. The usual suspects have been, again, the base of the pyramid. Mexico City is a big heart where in the mornings people are being pumped into the city, which you see in the orange area, and in the afternoons and evenings they are being siphoned again into the poor areas where all of these people live. So they are the usual sufferers of this pressure on the private sector transportation again. So there is a lack of public transportation to the base of the pyramid where people cannot have access to dignified transportation to their works every day. Basically, what we are having here is that 70% of public transportation vehicles need to be renewed, which means more or less just for this type of vehicles, 42,000 vehicles that need to be refinanced for better transportation systems, which accounts with more or less $1.4 billion of need to finance a new renewal of this transportation system. Even if finance were available, which is not, unfortunately, people do not have enough money to renew their vehicles. So what we tried to do was basically to try to finance this in a sustainable way. First of all, we enhanced the payment capacity of the public transportation micro-entrepreneurs by only financing natural gas consumption vehicles, new natural gas consumption vehicles, which cost less than 50% the price of gasoline and diesel. Since they circulate every day, the government avoids the restrictions on circulation for natural gas vehicles, so they enhance even more their income. The base of the pyramid has better transportation systems. Most fundamentally, we have better air in the city, and we have all this in a financing model where we are producing 0 non-performing loans in this model, with 40% return on equity to our investors. In the finance model that we had to do, we basically did it by foot. We went to the cooperatives where the transportation providers work, and we asked them what would work for them. And we envisaged a model where their flows would be increased, the cash flow would be increased, and their financing capacity could be also increased. Basically, what we could achieve with this is that by circulating more days, the gross income increased basically 35%. The fuel costs decreased by 60%. So their net income increased by 217%. So they had enough savings to pay for financing. And even after paying for financing, their available income increased by 63%. So it was a win-win-win-win situation for everybody. Most importantly, the base of the pyramid got better, more dignified, have been able to get more better and dignified transportation systems. And of course, a much cleaner air, because natural gas reduces 90% of total emissions in the city. Of course, we have huge challenges ahead. On the one hand, we need lots of money, lots of financing, very, very good returns, as I told you before, but massive financing is needed in order to sustain our project. We are being able to get more from the savings that these people themselves are creating, but institutional investors would be very much welcome to our project. And also, we need to increase the supply of natural gas in the city. We need 40 more gas stations in order to provide the increased demand for this new fuel in the city. And for this, we will need another $80 million. Mr. Zoli talked about building regenerative capacity, and this is more or less what we feel that we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. We've got maybe time for a couple of questions. Patricia, maybe one, again, coming back to the criteria for the award, one thing we're also looking for is replicability. So any messages, perhaps early mistakes, lessons that you've learned with the development of the project that might be relevant for other cities or countries looking to do something similar to your project?
I think the combination of risk management and internal controls that you need as a banker and the capacity to know exactly what people need in order to be able to enhance their capacity of payment makes this model very replicable everywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. And one thing also from your presentation, so scale looks as though that was quite important. Do you think how you were talking about building this larger network, how important is that to make it sustainable?
Yeah, well, the important thing in Mexico, at least in the Mexican infrastructure, is that they are cooperatives with 1,000 people each cooperative, more or less. So if you go and make a relationship with the cooperative heads themselves, you can have a very high impact model very, very easily. After having developed it, it looks easy, but it's a matter, as I said before, it's a matter of financing now.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the degree to which you've moved towards self-sufficiency with it so far, how close are you?
Well, we are already self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. We built self-sufficiency in financing terms in the first 4 months of operation. And as I told you before, the big challenge right now is to get money at very profitable levels. The return on equity for the financing part is more or less 40%. And the internal rate of return for the gas stations is 30% for the investors. Mm-hmm. And that's our main task right now.
That's impressive. Anybody else got any questions for Patricia? Don't think so. So great. Well, do please thank her.
Thank you.